Greetings and welcome to Flavourful Eats. I'm your host, Hamsha Naidu, and joining me today is Sarah Okeefe. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Hamsha.
Sarah is a Concord-based private chef specializing in using the freshest organic ingredients to delight the palate and promote good health. She partners with clients to achieve their dietary goals using plant-based foods filled with phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals. Her expertise is in working with families and children with gluten intolerance. She supports people with cancer, cooking for them. She's a graduate of French Culinary Institute in New York City, now called the International Culinary Center.
Yes.
So we're so happy to start with spring.
Yes, definitely.
Pasta Primavera. What's spring more than that?
That's so true, Hamsha.
So I'd leave that with you. We're doing a dessert, and I think we're starting with dessert first.
We're going to do that, yes. I just thought for the interest of time that would make sense. So what I'm working on for dessert is a tapioca pudding, which I think is a great classic, but it's a great way to put a modern twist and a fresh twist on a dessert as well. It's, you know, something you might have had with your grandmother at one time.
Right.
But it has a lot of great benefits, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But one of the most successful ways that I do it is with using coconut milk rather than regular dairy product. Yeah. One thing I like to do is to appeal to as many people when I'm cooking as I can. Fortunately, I'm one of those people who can pretty much tolerate anything, but more and more we know that there are a lot of people with dairy sensitivities and intolerance. So here we have the coconut milk, which is right here.
You're using light coconut milk.
I'm using, this is a great product. I know you mentioned that sometimes you make coconut milk, which is very amazing and great. But for the time saving, and I found a great product, which is a light coconut milk. And thank you very much. So I've already put two cans. Yes, so I have 2 cans in here, and I'm adding 1 more, so there'll be a total of 3. And I don't know if you noticed that, but you sort of saw it splash. That's because the liquid separates from the coconut fat, basically, at the top. So basically what we need to do is mix that all together.
So that's a 13.5 ounce can of coconut milk that you're using.
That's right, exactly. So I have 3 of those in here. I'm going to bring it to a simmer and add just a very small pinch of salt, which, excuse me, is right over here. Even for dessert, I think it's important to note that a little pinch of salt is helpful. Yes.
Always.
And this is the tapioca that I like to use. This is the granules. It's an organic product, which I try to use as much as possible for all of my products. But this one happens to work particularly well. So once it comes up to a simmer, it's kind of an interesting ratio. You really don't need a lot of the tapioca to go in there.
Because it's a thickener.
It is a thickener. Yeah. And it's a gluten-free thickener, which is another great thing about it. So,
and for those who don't know what tapioca is, it comes from the, I think it's called cassava, yeah?
Yes, it's a root.
It's a root, yeah.
Exactly. A lot of different cultures use it, as you know, and I know it's actually, I think, originated in South America. So it's great, and it's readily available. So.
And you can eat the vegetable on its own, the root vegetable on its own, too.
I've never done that, but I'm sure it's very good.
And sometimes called manioc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my grandmother introduced that to me as manioc, so.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, it's great for thickening fillings of pies. Again, for people, like I said, I can tolerate gluten, but I use it all the time. Oh, manioc, there it is. Okay, great. So it's very, basically, it's similar to a rice pudding.
Yes.
As far as the basic flavor component of it. So it's really good when you add flavorings to it. So that's what I was planning to do today. Just for something a little bit vibrant and in spring-like, I'm going to be using mango and coconut sugar rather than refined sugar. You certainly could use honey as well. That would be another option, or maple syrup would be a great choice. I don't like to use white refined sugars, so that's a great way to go. Vanilla extract is also wonderful in it, as is fruit and other seasonings, I'm going to use ginger.
Ginger.
So that's something we can talk about. Thank you for stirring.
I know.
So I'm going to add that in. I don't know if it's quite at a boil yet. We'll add that in there. Let it come up to boil.
So you leave the coconut milk to boil and then let the tapioca cook. And when the tapioca is cooked, you get it looks like a little piece of glass. Or
It does. It becomes translucent.
Translucent. Yeah.
It usually takes about 15 minutes once it's simmering. You should give it a stir every so often because it does tend to stick to the bottom like a rice would.
Yes, it
due
does.
to just the starchiness of it. So, so maybe you could help me with that.
I can
that
stir
would be
while
great.
you get on to the next thing. So.
So the next thing I'm going to do is what we're going to add to it once it's done. And that basically, I'm going to start with, this is the ginger root, I'm sure you're familiar with. I'm sure you use all the time. But this is one of the things that people who really love ginger, you can certainly add more and make it really a predominant flavoring in it. But for most people, I think it's best to just stick with about, a good rule of thumb is about an inch piece, chopped very finely, or you could infuse
into the
coconut milk. I'm actually not going to do it that way this time. I'm going to incorporate it right into the fruit. You could also use any kind of berries that you like blueberries or strawberries, but we'll stick with the mango today. So the ginger, I'm going to continue chopping. About an inch piece of the ginger. You could use a grater if you're more comfortable with that. And it's been peeled. One thing to note about ginger, you can use a traditional vegetable peeler to peel it like you would a carrot or anything else. But if you don't have one of those handy, you can use a teaspoon and the skin will actually, if you scrape it, will peel off. So that's a tip I learned and I use sometimes.
Okay, so this tapioca is actually simmering, so I'm going to stop stirring it,
Okay,
right?
that's perfect.
Okay, while you carry on chopping your ginger.
Okay, so what I'm going to do to the ginger is basically saute it a little bit. You don't want it to brown or anything, but just a nice low heat. And we'll saute it. And you could use butter if you eat butter. Or ghee would be wonderful. Or you can continue with the coconut theme.
Yes.
And
coconut oil.
What I'm going to do here.
So you're using coconut oil. That's
I'm going
interesting.
to use a little bit of coconut oil just to keep in the theme of that. This is a refined coconut oil. There's of course unrefined as well, which would have more of a coconut flavor. Just going to put about a tablespoon into the saute pan over medium heat, and then I'll add the ginger in there. And ultimately, it's going to get pureed in the Vitamix or a blender. So you don't have to be too careful about what everything looks like and the size of it. You just kind of want it to be uniform in size. And of course, the one day that I needed a mango on your show, Whole Foods was out of mangoes. So this is a good example of have a plan B when you are looking for your recipe. And I think that's a good tip for people, just to be flexible. And I went with organic mango chunks, which is a wonderful product.
It is.
So I'm just going to mix this right into the ginger. And you're not really trying to cook this too much. It's just more of a softening and melding of the flavors. So we can keep that over a medium heat there. And then I'm going to add right to it the coconut sugar, which I mentioned. This is a 1/4 cup. I always like to start light with any sugar product, and then you can certainly add at the end. You could add honey.
So that's like a cup of mangoes, correct?
Yes, it's about a cup. Again, it's flexible. For this recipe, that's what I'm using. But if you really want that big mango flavor, you could add more to it as well. Okay, so we can just let that simmer for a minute and let this continue and move on.
Oh, okay. Our mango looks like it's ready.
It's perfect.
You need to puree it?
Yes, so that's
can you
what
do
I'll
that
do
just
next.
Right now? Okay.
So this is the Vitamix, and any blender will work. I just happen to love the Vitamix. So basically just scrape it all in there. And again, this would apply to any fruit that you were using. So I'll set that there. And you really just need to just bring it to a smooth consistency. Nothing tricky about it. that should do it.
So in your recipe that we shared, we said a vanilla extract, but today you didn't bring it. You're going to be using some cinnamon.
Yes, I'm going to use some cinnamon, and you could use whatever extract that you like as well.
And
so
cinnamon also brings a little bit of sweetness to the dessert.
It definitely does, Hamsha.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
It
And
makes it very
makes it
vibrant
smell
and
wonderful
smell
as well.
yes.
And it appeals to kids too, which is great.
It does. And I
Yeah.
make a vermicelli and tapioca pudding myself, and I tend to put the whole stick of the cinnamon into the...
Oh, that's great.
And it just brings out the flavor that much more.
Great.
I
So
know it's
that's
totally
all
different,
set.
but
And I'll
yeah.
just put that aside until we're ready to use it.
Right, so now we're going to get to our pasta primavera.
We're going to do
Right,
that. Okay, great.
All right, I'll get that to the sink.
Thank
while
you
get
so
that.
much.
Yeah.
Excellent. May I give you this as well?
Will you be needing this again?
No, I won't.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'll switch sides with you. Great. So this is onto the pasta primavera. And I'm going to start just by mentioning the pasta that I have pre-cooked, and it's ready. You could use any pasta that you like. This one I find is a terrific product made by True Roots Company. It's pretty widely available. What's nice about it is it's an ancient grain pasta which contains quinoa, amaranth, brown rice, and corn. So it is a gluten-free product, but spoken by someone who eats pasta, regular pasta, and can tolerate it all the time, this really tastes delicious. So it can appeal to anybody, which is nice.
Just about anybody, right?
Yeah, so I just thought I'd mention that. And I'm going to make the sauce first for the pasta, which is a basil oil. So let's bring this, basically what I do is I start by blanching, or just quickly boiling, which is what blanching is, about 2 to 3 cups of, I use organic basil, which I have taken off the stem, and it smells amazing. It is, like we were saying, the first sign of spring.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
That wonderful basil smell. So I'm just going to put this in the pot of water once it comes to a simmer here, just for moments. It's really what I'm trying to do is keep the color of the sauce nice and vibrant green, because if you just put this in a blender, it would oxidize and discolor and turn brown, so it would not be very appealing and would not look very spring-like on the plate. So I'll go ahead and just add that in, and then we'll drain it under cold water. You can also do this in advance if you were doing this for company. Basil oil, once it's made, you can keep in the refrigerator, which will prolong its life. And definitely at least a week it would last, probably longer than that, because as long as there's nothing else in there, such as garlic, which is perishable,
Right.
it's really, there's nothing really too perishable in it.
Putting it in there, you know, it's going to get killed. All the germs will get killed. But
Exactly.
we
And
wipe the stove so there's no germs.
Thank you. That's great. And I have pre-rinsed and washed the leaves
Right.
of the, even though it's organic, you still want to wash
yes,
it.
you have to.
Just for dirt and insects and that kind of thing.
And you don't know whose hands touched it and
You
who
don't.
did what, right?
Absolutely. So that's done. That's really all there was to it, was just putting it on in there, and now I'm going to drain it and rinse it and hand it to you.
So, okay. And
If
I
you
think
would
you'll
be so kind as to
strainer
help
right
me
there.
with that. That will be for you, for your basil oil.
I think that was my bowl that maybe I could
You can
the
use
white
it.
one.
Yeah, here. That'll look nice in the white bowl.
Yes, thank you.
The vibrant green. And I'll just quickly go and drain this.
Okay.
And rinse it under cold water.
Yeah, but that's, so we're just going to be putting that into the, how much of oil? Is that?
1 cup of olive oil.
Shall I put
That would
in
be
first?
terrific. Yep. And I use an extra virgin olive oil.
Unfiltered extra virgin olive oil.
Now, you
So-
are going to taste that olive flavor a little bit, which I like the taste of. However, if for some reason you felt that that was too strong of a flavor, you could use whatever oil that you would like to use.
Right.
So I'm just wringing out the remaining water here. And,
And I'm drying out this mixer.
thank you.
So
Yeah,
you-
you want to make sure there's not a little water is okay in here, but you don't want the water and oil obviously will not work well together.
Or the mango flavor that we
So-
just had.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to measure out. I'm not going to be putting it in a cup only because you have cup measure right here. And
Okay.
it says 1 cup here.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to be putting the oil to that measure.
Great. I'm going to put this in here for you for when you're ready for it.
And this whole show has been sponsored by Sarah. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Okay, so basically while you're doing that, which is really just putting it in the Vitamix, pureeing it, and then straining
So
it.
I'm just going to do that, right?
Then I will move on to the rest of the vegetables. And one of the vegetables that I think is very intimidating to people.
I'm switching this
Oh,
one.
okay, great. So I'm just going to start by peeling the leaves.
Okay.
And that's a good starting point.
Okay.
So
I'll get this
I'll do
going
that.
again. So while you're doing the artichokes, I'm done with the oil
Yes.
as well. I'm filtering this. You can.
Okay, great. So basically, this is a vegetable which is the epitome of spring. It's in the U.S. It's really thrives in March in California, and it's very commonly grown in Italy and other parts of the world with a temperate climate. So it's actually part of the thistle plant, which is interesting. So
Very
it's really a
interesting.
flower. So it has a lot of parts that can be a little bit kind of make you
Intimidating.
wonder what to do with it. You can eat it a lot of ways. You're seeing that I have 2 of them for this recipe, and I'm peeling them. However, you could actually steam the entire thing and really eat all of the artichoke, which is interesting, by peeling the leaves off once they're steamed and eating them.
Yeah, because the leaves, it actually has a lot of the nutrients which you can actually suck out, and
And they're delicious.
Delicious,
It's one of my
yes.
favorite ways, and you can eat it cold in a salad. You can warm them and stuff them. They're so versatile. So I definitely, if you're not someone who uses them, I highly recommend getting a little bit more familiar with them. There are also baby artichokes, which are nice because they don't have the big choke in the middle, which is the thistle part of the plant, and it looks like fur. You'll see once we get down to the center of it, and it's a little bit spiky and definitely not palatable.
Okay.
So basically the first step of these full-sized artichokes is to do what I'm doing, and this part will not be eaten, as delicious as they are. And
It's not eaten for today's show, but I'm sure you're going to be making use of it anyway.
yes, yes.
And
it's
if we had more time, maybe we would have been able to show how we actually can use those
exactly,
leaves.
that would be another show. That would be great.
That would be excellent.
So you'll see that the leaves kind of become more tender once you get into the center of the artichoke, and a little bit easier to work with. They do have kind of a spiky point at the end, so just be careful when you're peeling them.
It's like a thorn.
Yeah, it is like a thorn. And so I'm just going to set the leaves aside for this use. And you see I can just pull the rest of them right off there. And you're left with the choke, basically. So went from that giant thing to this. And one thing to do when you clean it is you want to have a bowl of water handy that you put a little bit of lemon in, or really it's for the acid. The acid of the lemon in the water, otherwise known as acidulated water, will keep the nice light green artichoke from turning brown and discoloring. Once again, it just isn't very palatable. So we'll do that as we go. This is a melon baller tool, which is a really good tool to clean the artichoke heart out of there, the center part. And again, I'll just put that right in here. So I'm just going to take this and start pulling out what looks like the furry center of the artichoke. And then what we're going to do with this is saute it with the rest of the spring vegetables for the pasta that we've cooked. And we'll incorporate that all together with the basil oil that you've made over there.
You're right. Yeah.
Which looks so
It looks so
vibrant,
nice and vibrant,
green.
and
Yes, exactly. And this is an opportunity to use whatever
Do you
vegetables.
want to hold it up a little bit like this and
Sure.
and take that out?
Sure.
So that, hopefully the camera's got that.
Okay, good. And so I'm really just scraping it. There's nothing hard about it. It's just making sure that you get all of the furry center. And I use then, once I've done that, what you would do is put them right into the acidulated water, and then they'll stay that nice light green color.
Okay.
So if you were working with a lot of them, that would
That's
be
what
very
you're doing.
handy.
Very
So I'm going to start with the first one. I've also gives it a chance to kind of rinse it off. And I'm going to just trim the sides of the artichoke. You can see at the base of it, I've turned it over. You're left with sort of the fibrous part of the leaves, and that's just not as tender when you're eating it. So there's not absolutely nothing wrong with it. It wouldn't hurt you to eat it. But I'm taking, you could use a vegetable peeler. I'm just more comfortable with a paring knife doing it this way. And you would just trim all of the edges of the leaves there. And then we're really just going to chop it. Once you have it in this form, chopping and sauteing, or if you were using it in a stuffed recipe, you would be left with this nice base to stuff it. And you could bake it or braise it. It would be delicious. So that one's really ready to use. You can leave a little bit of the darker green color on there.
So if people don't want to try this recipe only because they think they're wasting a lot of artichoke, do you have any hints and tips for them?
As far as using the other parts of it? You could actually, I have not done it this way, but you could definitely steam those leaves in a pan.
Right.
If you wanted to do that and not be wasteful.
Right.
Or if you compost, you could certainly go ahead and compost them.
Yeah.
But what you would do would just be use a nice size saute pan like the one on the stove there, and put about a 1/4 cup of water in there, or you could use broth if you wanted like a vegetable broth would be great, and just cover the pan, steam it, and then make a nice delicious dip.
Oh yes, you can do
or
that
you
too.
could use the basil oil to dip the leaves into.
And suck onto it.
And yes, and just go ahead and eat them. So those are ready for use now. So that really wasn't too bad. If you think about it, it's just getting comfortable with it. So that's ready.
It's all about getting comfort, right? What you're comfortable with.
Exactly. And I use, I've already cooked some peas. Peas are another very healthy vegetable, definitely a sign of
abundant
spring.
in this time of year, for sure.
So true.
It
Fava beans are not quite here yet, but if
Okay.
they had been at the market, I for sure would have gotten them.
Okay.
We have leeks, so I'm going to start with, actually, you know what, I'll start with these wonderful shiitake mushrooms I have. And the best way to clean a mushroom is not by using water, because mushrooms are so porous, like a sponge, that if you submerge them in water, they really become really like a wet sponge, which is not good. So I brush them off. They do sell mushroom brushes you can buy also. I think that this is fine, so I use a paper towel. You could use a cloth. And I'm going to discard a lot of the stem of the shiitake mushroom just because it is kind of woody in texture. And you could use
quite hard. Yes. You feel it when it's hard.
Exactly.
Sure. Yes.
And you could definitely use any kind of mushroom that you like. Chanterelle mushrooms would be delicious. Regular white button mushrooms are wonderful. So I'm really just going to chop all this up together and saute. And then, of course, asparagus.
Oh, asparagus too, for sure, for spring.
Is wonderful. So we'll work on that as well. So I'm just giving this a good chop. Mushrooms are nice because they add a different color, of course, to the dish. A nice earthy brown, and they're very nutritious. They add a nice meaty quality to a vegetarian meal, which this is. This is actually vegan. That's one of the reasons I wanted to use a basil oil as opposed to a pesto.
You're right.
Because it contains no animal products. So we'll put those in there. And then why don't we move on to the asparagus, which really another quick cleaning tip for asparagus is snapping it where it naturally snaps. And that can be done very quickly. And now the school that I went to, the French Culinary Institute, would have me peel every single asparagus stalk, as the French do. However, in the interest of time, I'm not going to, nor do I think it's necessary for this type of more of a rustic recipe.
And also, it's not, if it's, I think if it's a little bit more mature, then you'd want to.
Exactly. So what you would do, I'll just show the audience what we would do, is take a vegetable peeler and peel the end of the asparagus stalk like you would a carrot or any other vegetable. And if you're going to be presenting it in a salad or having it, as sort of the main focal point of your dish, that would be a nice thing to do. but because we have so many other wonderful vegetables. I'm just going to actually put this right in here with the other the artichoke hearts. That'll be a nice way to give it a good rinse. And there frequently is sand in asparagus.
Yeah.
So it does need to be cleaned very well.
And also the leeks.
Leeks are very delicious, but they are very sandy. Yeah. So another vegetable that needs to be washed really well. And leeks are in the onion family, as I know you know. But I'm just going to, this is a pretty large leek, so I'm going to cut it all the way down and then across. They're so delicious. It's really one of my favorite vegetables. They're incredibly healthy for your stomach and digestion. There's a lot of talk, as we know these days, about probiotics and prebiotics and
yes, the microbiome, yes,
and foods that aid in digestion, and leeks are one of them. So that's something that I recently found out, and I've been using them for years.
Too.
So happy to hear that. Makes wonderful.
Actually, the asparagus also helps with all of that too. So it's very interesting. Anyway, we're not here for a nutrition class.
Yes, exactly. So this is done. I am going to rinse this in the colander.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned, they do, there's just a little bit of basil, so that's not going to hurt it.
I can rinse that for you while you go on to the next vegetable.
Excellent. And then we'll give it all a good saute. And
so next thing you're using is carrots.
The carrots are next, yep. Really, I love carrots, but for this particular recipe, everything's green and beautiful, but we do want a little bit of contrast to our dish, and they add a little bit of a different quality of sweetness, which some of the other vegetables are not quite as sweet and have more of an earthy, kind of a grassier flavor. Here, I'm just going to give this a quick, and this will add color and sweetness, so it'll be great. Thank you. Okay, so nothing tricky about this. This is a matter of peeling. These are actually quite, I'm going to give them a quick rinse. They're quite dirty, very fresh.
Yeah, I could see you just went to the market this morning, it looked like.
I did. I try to do my marketing every day.
Oh, nice.
Very similar to the European style of marketing.
Like you said, right? Your freshest ingredients, and you're seeing it right here.
Exactly. I always do that. And I really believe that you should allow flexibility into what you prepare, because we all get or a lot of people get very nervous, I think, when they're confronted with a recipe. And if they don't have the exact item, it throws them off.
Exactly.
And that's not necessary. Just
just
trust yourself and take a look at what looks great at the store and go for it. So.
Yeah. So there was another peeler, but I sometimes tend to scrape it. But if it's organic carrots, I just wash them very well, and I scrub it down, wash it, with a little brush.
Exactly.
And I use it as it is, because I just think you're wasting so much of good nutrients by peeling it off.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yep. And you certainly could do that. Yeah. I've done it many times as well, especially in things like soups, which I make quite a bit, as long as it's clean.
And all these things that you cleaned out, you could wash them, and if it was well washed, you just make a stock out of it.
You could.
Besides composting it, you could do a stock. That's need not be wasteful and throw it all away.
That's right. That's a great tip. And one thing I've been doing lately on that note is taking, for instance, parsley stems would be a great example, or the top of the leek that I didn't use, and I just put it in a little Ziploc bag, and then I put it in the freezer.
Oh, okay.
And if I need it for a stock or a broth or anything, then I have it. So
yeah, but besides that, those are regrowable too. If you've got a garden, you can actually take these little roots and put that into soil, and it actually grows.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
absolutely.
Green onions.
Someday, when I don't have two children in a business, I'll try for that. Little children.
You want their children all the time. Yes,
exactly. So I'm just chopping these, and then we'll be ready to get going and saute all these delicious flavors together, which won't take long at all. And you could, just to note that you certainly could roast the vegetables. If you prefer that, that
would bring a different dimension altogether, roasting them.
It absolutely would. Okay.
And if we have water, it doesn't work, so I have your saute pan ready for you.
Yes, that's ready. So I'm going to continue with the olive oil theme here, since we have it in our basil oil. And that's what I'm going to use as my fat to cook with. And really just using about, again, I like to start small and add. So
can you help with that?
Sure. Okay, so I'm just going to start small by adding about, and I don't measure, I just eyeball it, about 2 tablespoons of oil. And I'm going to wait until this gets nice and hot and start with mushrooms, because mushrooms are sort of the trickiest to cook, I think, in this dish. They tend to let some of the liquid go. The shiitake mushrooms, not quite as much. But I'm going to just put these in here, and we'll wait until we see that it's heating up. Normally, we would let the pan get nice and hot and add it, but this is perfectly fine.
So is it all right with the olive oil to let it get nice and hot? I think you'd let the pan get hot and then put the oil in, correct?
Yes, you don't want the oil to oxidize.
Right.
So it's not really on a temperature where we have to worry about that too much. So I'm definitely conscious of that.
Just checking with, in case our audience was questioning.
That's a good point, because there is so much talk about different oils and what temperatures they work well at. And olive oil is not an oil that really wants to be heated and cooked with at a high heat.
Especially if you're the type you have.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of times people just use it as sort of a finishing or a dressing. I do use olive oil to cook with, however, I just keep it at more of a moderate heat. So it's, you know, 6 or 7, you know, medium is good.
Okay.
So
it's sauteing.
It's sauteing, and I'm just going to do, I use sea salt. You can see here I'm using kosher sea salt today, but and I really, again, just am using a true pinch, which tends to be about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So you can always add more salt later.
Salt is to taste.
Salt is to taste.
Yeah, each one's preference.
And I think, you know, you certainly need it to bring out flavors of food. But with vegetables, you really want to taste the true essence of the vegetables.
That's true.
So I'm going to move on after this. We'll add in our artichokes, which I'm just slicing across. And really, these are even delicious raw. That's one of my favorite ways, is to eat them sliced on a mandolin or very thin, like a carpaccio, like they do in Italy. Really amazing with, if you do eat cheese, with Parmigiano Reggiano.
Oh, yes.
It's wonderful. So we'll add this in.
Well, now they're making all these cheese alternatives. I'm sure you'll find something just as good there, too.
I don't know. I love Parmigiano Reggiano. It's hard. So it's one of the hardest things I find, is finding a substitute. One thing I have tried is nutritional yeast.
Oh, yes. Nutritional yeast is very good. It gives you the cheesy flavor.
It really does. Yes. I've done some nice vegan casseroles using nutritional yeast, which is non-dairy, for those of you who aren't familiar with it.
And the good thing of nutritional yeast, it's got vitamin B12, which is very good for you, which lots of vegetarian dishes don't have.
It's really good. It does kind of capture that cheesiness, which is nice. Okay, and I'm just going to keep adding. So I think I'll go with the leeks next. Okay. And we have this was a very large leek.
Yes,
I don't actually think, I think I am going to freeze this, half of it, for later use. So that was approximately 1 cup of chopped leeks.
Yeah.
If you for some reason couldn't find a leek, you could use just an onion. Would be, or a shallots would be a good substitute. But if you can get it, I highly recommend it. So.
It's very good.
Very
tastes
good.
very good.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Right. And the minimum, if you cook this, the less you cook stuff, the more nutritious it stays. So you're keeping your nutrition with that.
We're really just steaming it because everything has been rinsed, so it already has the water on it. So we really don't even need to add. We'll see how it goes, but we probably won't need to add any water to this. It'll just steam in what's left over from washing it. The peas are the one thing. They've already been blanched and they've been set aside, and I'm not going to put them in. I'll just add them at the very end and toss them in. You could just leave them raw and add them in, you know, frozen.
Yes.
Because I was using frozen petite organic peas, which is great. So you can see all this nice steam coming up from the pan.
And it's amazing that it's just vegetable, and the smell that it's giving off is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Wonderful.
I think the leek is what one of those smells that it's smelling more
It definitely is.
dominant than others, yeah.
And now I'm getting the asparagus.
Yes,
So,
great. It's everything there, yeah.
I'm just giving a few grinds of pepper. I like to keep this kind of light on the pepper. You really want to, you could use white pepper as well. That would be a little bit more mild. I brought my black pepper.
If somebody wants to be a little bit more adventurous, you can use the red pepper too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Little tiny tad bit of it would be good.
Yes, yeah. So, and we have only seasoned this with 1 pinch of salt, so I am going to give it 1 more pinch of salt at this point. We have not put any seasoning in the beautiful basil oil that you have there. So there's really, this is quite low in salt. And we won't be adding cheese, so again, we will not have a lot of salt in there.
Right.
So basically, we're gonna. Do we have a cover for this pan?
Yes,
that would be terrific. That's great. So we'll just give it a little steam there, probably about 5 minutes max.
Okay.
I would say this would be finished.
All right.
The pasta is cooked, so I'm going to grab that.
Okay. So this is simmered for 5 minutes,
Yes.
and it's ready.
It's ready. Everything has a nice bite to it. It's still al dente.
And you have the pasta ready to be put in?
I do have it. So what I'm going to do is just bring it right into the pan. I think that's the best way to do it. And give it a toss. And then we will add in our peas.
Oh, that looks so vibrant
which
and
are
beautiful
already cooked.
Yeah.
Yes. And maybe this is even a way people can get their kids to eat vegetables.
Yes, because the pasta, the type of pasta, looks so festive on its own.
It is. It makes a nice pasta salad too. And the best part, of course, is this wonderful basil oil that we've made. So you won't need all of it. So this is about, I believe I started with about half a cup of the basil oil.
Yeah, that looks about half a cup, yes.
Yeah, and I'm going to add, it depends on what your taste is, how well dressed you like things to be.
Right.
I like them to be just sort of medium.
Medium dress, I do too.
If it's too oily, it's too oily. And we don't want that. However, if you know it's going to be sitting for a little while, if you are putting this, serving it as a, family style, you would want enough that it would not dry out either. So give it a good toss like I'm doing so that it's thoroughly coated.
And the other thing is you could serve a little bit of the basil oil on the side.
That's always a great idea.
That
So
somebody
I
wants
think
to add
that's
more,
what we'll do here.
Okay.
We'll leave it for anyone who would like to add a little bit more to it. And then white is always my preference for serving plates.
Yes, it just picks up all the color and everything else for sure.
It looks fantastic. It
It
smells
does.
even better.
Oh, yes.
And there we are.
Okay, so we have that.
Pasta Primavera.
That's a beautiful dish, all right.
So
with that, you're going to be finishing off your tapioca.
exactly. So
pudding.
we have our cooked tapioca, and just as you were saying, Hamsha, it's like little pieces of glass. It's translucent. It's a good texture. It really is pudding-like. So what I'm
Jello-like.
Yeah, it is like Jello. This is our nice mango puree. So what I'm going to do is just put it all together here and then serve it. So really just mixing it in, and then we can garnish it and season it. And it'll go from obviously being this nice white to sort of a lovely mango color. And it will add a lot of flavor. So.
And I guess if you had fresh mango, you'd use that for your garnish too.
You certainly could. I did bring some coconut flakes,
right.
unsweetened. I find the ones that are typically sweetened that you get in the store are just kind of too sweet.
I totally agree. I stay away from those for sure.
Yes, exactly. So we can serve it directly into the bowl. And then we will add our garnish and a little bit of lime, which will add some nice flavor.
That will definitely add some flavor.
Yeah. So I'm just going to squeeze in a little bit of lime, fresh lime juice. And here's our unsweetened coconut. So I'm just doing a sprinkle of that. And a little bit of your cinnamon. Wow. That brings up some color too. Absolutely. So,
So we have our beautiful dishes right here. Your pasta primavera. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
And our lovely dessert. And are you tasting some?
Oh, well, are you tasting some? That's the question. I would love to taste some.
I always like to serve my guests first.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I will not pass that. This is probably the last time I'll be eating due to a very busy day.
Oh, wow.
So.
Okay. Let me get you a plate.
Thank you.
So, yeah, this is our perfect meal before it's being served.
Thank you.
So
And this is always interesting to see how quickly it goes.
it goes
It takes
very,
a little
very
bit of time to prepare, and then it leaves very quickly,
yes.
which is a good thing.
And yes, thank you so much for joining me, making it so beautiful in such a
thank you.
short time. And for more information, you can give us your web address.
Oh, thank you. So I'm Sarah Okeefe once again, and it's okeefeorganics.com is my website.
And you go out and cook for just about anybody who will invite you to their home.
I always entertain all inquiries. I schedule by appointment.
By appointment, yes.
Exactly, but I'm happy to talk
private
to anyone. I would enjoy that.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you so much. You sponsored the show today. And
I'm
we're
happy to.
very,
Thank you for having me.
very grateful for that, and thank you very much. And once again, from ActonTV and from Flavourful Eats, till we meet again, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.